How's it going, everybody? My name is Rinzler here, back again for another video, and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be keeping up with the theme of Tim Burton and superhero movies today by talking about the biggest what-if superhero movie in recorded cinematic history, Superman Lives. Now, this movie is very strange, and it has a very well-documented history of troubles that prevented it from existing, and, well, of course, as you all know, that movie never happened. The next Superman movie we got after Superman Quest for Peace was Superman Returns with Brandon Routh. But Superman was supposed to return to the silver screen a lot sooner than he actually was. 7 years sooner, to be exact. In the late 90s, Tim Burton was going to direct a Superman movie called Superman Lives that was going to star Nicolas Cage as the titular character. And so today, since I enjoyed making videos about Tim Burton's Batman so much, I decided I'm going to keep talking about Tim Burton and superheroes combined, and I'm going to be talking about what if Tim Burton's Superman Lives had been made. So without further ado, let's get into it right now. The rights to Superman were purchased by Jon Peters from Warner Brothers in the late 90s, and he soon came into contact with Kevin Smith, from whom he requested a script of the planned movie called Superman Reborn. Kevin, however, he didn't really like the sound of the title because it sounded too much like a purposeful reboot to him instead of something truly appealing, so he changed the name to Superman Lives, which admittedly does roll off the tongue a little bit better in my opinion. Jon Peters reportedly had 3 requests for Kevin Smith regarding the movie, all of them really weird. Number 1, Superman couldn't fly. Number 2, he wasn't allowed to wear his signature vibrant costume in the movie. And number 3, he had to fight a giant mechanical spider. The lack of flight was due to Peters not wanting to give audiences crappy flying effects, and the giant spider was because of Peters' fascination with them and how he believed them to be the most dangerous member of the animal kingdom. Admittedly, the way he describes the planned fight scene between Superman and the giant spider actually sounds pretty interesting. The spider would have sent out a bunch of smaller mechanical spiders to attack and attempt to basically lay eggs in his eyes while he's trying to fight them off with his heat vision. I actually think a fight scene like that could have been really cool if done correctly. He also had another odd request that Brainiac would kill a polar bear in front of the Fortress of Solitude. Jon Peters has since denied his request for no flying and no suit, saying it wouldn't be Superman without them, although he doesn't deny his request about polar bears or the giant spider. Regardless, Kevin Smith had a request of his own, that Tim Burton be the director. This request was at first denied due to belief that Superman was too light of a character for Tim Burton to work with, but they eventually changed their minds as the script progressed. The movie was set to feature Jim Carrey, Gary Oldman, or Christopher Walken as Brainiac, Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor, yes, I know that's ironic, Sandra Bullock as Lois Lane, and most notably, of course, Nicolas Cage as Superman. The movie would roughly be based on the popular graphic novel The Death of Superman, where Superman is killed when Brainiac and Doomsday conspire together to block the sun's rays, and then kill Superman while he's vulnerable. This version of the movie would have been admittedly insane. It would have featured Brainiac flying in a giant skull ship through space, and having a mechanical spider body hidden beneath Grim Reaper robes, used to make him look more human. Also, Superman would not have come to Earth alone in this version. He would have had a small robotic companion named Kay, who could change his physical form to suit his and Superman's needs. Speaking of suits, if Jon Peters' 3 requests were actually accurate, then he must have changed his mind about the suit because Superman Lives was meant to feature up to 3 different suits. The first was, of course, his iconic blue, red, and yellow outfit. After Superman is killed by Brainiac and Doomsday, Kay would wrap himself around Superman's dead body and become his second suit. A very cool synthetic suit with wiring inside that would cause the suit to glow in the dark as he's being revived from the dead. Admittedly, I've thought about this scene a lot, and I think it would have been really cool to have, like, Superman's dead body in a dark room, only for his chest piece to start glowing as he comes back to life. I really wish that scene had been made because it sounds really cool. And the suit would not have even been CGI. They actually built a suit with wires inside that glow in the dark. And honestly, it looked really, really cool, especially for the time. The third and final suit in the movie would be his recognizable black and silver outfit from the comic book. He even got his long hair from the comics right. Kevin Smith's version of the movie would have even seen a cameo from Batman, who would appear on the screens in Metropolis announcing Superman's death to the public. It's unknown if Michael Keaton was set to reprise his role as Batman, since it was Tim Burton directing after all. Kevin Smith's version of the script was ultimately rejected, however, and he was replaced by Wesley Strick, whose version was somehow even more insane than his. In his version of the script, Jor-El creates Brainiac on Krypton and actually feeds off the planet's core and decides to destroy the planet when Jor-El refuses to help him survive. Eventually, in the movie, Lex Luthor and Brainiac would have morphed into one being called Lexiac, whom Superman would have destroyed by convincing it that it needs love to survive. Yes, I'm actually serious about that. Strick would also end up being replaced by Dan Gilroy, however. Gilroy had the idea of Superman not knowing where he came from, but only suspecting that he was an alien. It's because of this fear that causes Clark Kent to become an insecure nerd due to his fear of what he can do to those he loves and a feeling of being detached from the human race. Obviously, Burton's fingerprints were all over this aspect of the character. They were also planning to possibly have Batman speak at Superman's funeral. The funeral march itself for Superman was even supposed to be inspired by that of Princess Diana's in 1997. In the end, though, the cost of the movie, which had escalated to a whopping $300 million, making it the most expensive film ever made by that point, added on to the Warner Brothers' uncertainty with superhero movies following Batman and Robin's failure, caused Superman Lives to die. Now, there are two groups of people when it comes to this movie. One group that thinks this movie could have been really cool and would have liked to see it made, and another group who think that it sounded stupid and are grateful it never existed. Personally, I would have loved to see Tim Burton's Superman, especially considering how big a fan I am of his Batman movies. I admire his interpretation of the character. Clark would be a lonely, alienated child due to his abilities, and it makes sense that he would be insecure of himself and his place on Earth. I also like how he casted Nicolas Cage. He's not the most handsome guy in the world, no offense to Nicolas Cage, but he's just an ordinary guy, just like he did with Michael Keaton as Batman. I always liked how he wanted to keep his superheroes feeling like they could be absolutely anybody. It makes everything feel easier to relate to. As it stands, Cage eventually did get to play Superman by voicing him in Teen Titans Go to the movies, but we'll never get to see what Superman Lives could have been like. An entire documentary was made called The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, which you should watch if you'd like to know more about this movie. In the end, I think that there would have been two possible timelines if this movie had been made and released. If the movie failed, then combined with Batman and Robin's failure, would have set the superhero genre back even longer than it was in real life. We may never have gotten X-Men, Spider-Man, or Iron Man when we did if this movie had set back superhero movies. On the other hand, if Superman Lives had been a success, then it could have breathed new life into a dying brand. If Keaton's Batman had indeed cameoed in the movie, Warner may have opted to keep more Superman movies coming, and possibly may have pretended Batman Forever and Batman and Robin didn't happen, in favor of directly continuing the Batman Returns storyline with Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman and everyone else. It would have been great. Honestly, Superman Lives would have likely been a very acquired taste that some people probably would have hated and others would have loved. Regardless, I would have loved to see this movie made, but I'm still very content with the movies that we have gotten from Tim Burton. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a thumbs up, share this video with all of your friends and family members and all of your various social media platforms, ring that notification bell, and let me know in the comments down below what you liked and didn't like from this video, and I will see all you dudes and chicks in the next video.